Let's see. The next one, same person asking the question, what is the significance of embedding map links on local pages to top sites, neighborhoods, and things to do in location? Don't you think that that is beside the intent of the searcher? Yeah, it is, but that's why I put it at the bottom. Like, does that satisfy the intent of the search? No, doesn't. But it's about referencing relevant location entities within that page. That's what that's for. And that, so I've not tested with omitting that. I know not since kind of the algorithm has shifted as much as it had over the last couple of years now. Um, there used to be several years ago, and I actually just did an audit for a client or a link building client today. And well, I audited last night, but I recorded the video today, and I saw that there was on that particular website that I was auditing or project that I was auditing, you had a bunch of what were called geo pages, which were just pages about points of interest or um, geographically significant uh, locations, stores, historical monuments or historical sites and things like that within a particular geographic region, right? And so it used to be several years ago where there were plugins and things like that, and in local SEO, we would go out and publish orphaned pages or posts on the site that would be referencing points of interest within the geographic area that the company was targeting. But they were separate pages or posts that were, and I say orphaned because they weren't shown in the navigation menu. You could find them via the sitemap, but they weren't shown anywhere in any of the navigation menus or anything like that. But we wanted Google to be aware of them. And that had an influence on Maps coverage area or Google Business Profile performance in map search to where you could get it to expand kind of the proximity with which Google would show the GBP. And so there was a reason that we did it. And that was to try to push that maps expansion out as far as we could. But what I found was after about, I don't know, a couple of years ago, when the algorithm shifted away from being a keyword-based algorithm to an entity-based algorithm, that I found that really had no effect unless you had in the pages or posts that were set up specifically to target points of interest, you had some sort of tie back to the products or services that the company provided. Like, in other words, if they were orphan pages that had no direct connection to the products or services that that company provides, then what is the purpose of those pages? We did it for SEO, I get it, but the algorithm as it advances, learns how to overcome things like that are we use to manipulate search. And so if there wasn't a direct connection or relation between the geographic relevance, points of interest, whatever, and the tie back to the company, like the products or services that the company provides, then I saw that it had basically no effect whatsoever. And so it was like kind of useless. And so I stopped doing it. I stopped using those types of plugins that would automatically generate those pages, at least semi-automatically generate those pages, etc. And so instead, I started testing with just inserting geo-relevance data into a service page or a locate not a service page. I'm sorry, a location page. So a page that I have optimized to target, you know, keyword or topic plus city, keyword, topic, or category plus city. So, in other words, something that I am looking to rank and that I want a visitor to land on. It wasn't used specifically for manipulating search. It was where I have location pages, anyways, that I'm targeting. And so now it's just adding geo relevance that is specific to that particular location that that page is optimized for into that page and referencing specific entities. That is the whole point. And so by using Google's data to go search for top sites or things to do in whatever the city name is, it's going to pop that carousel. And those are going to be Google business profiles for points of interest that are within that specific geographic region or nearby anyway. Sometimes it's, especially if it's a small area, it might not have a lot of points of interest in that particular area, but stuff that's adjacent to it, nearby, et cetera. And so Google understands, especially because you're referencing Google business profiles, Google Maps, profiles essentially. Then Google understands what they are and that they're relevant as far as just adding some geographic relevance to that page. And so you're right; it doesn't satisfy the intent of the searcher. It's for SEO, but it is specifically because we're referencing entities that are in Google, like in Google. So that's why I like to use the images too. So, for example, let me just give you an example. We go take a look at this site. If I can spell Louis, I can't spell to save my life right now. If we go in and we'll just take a look at one of these pages, and you'll see that down here, now I don't do the neighborhoods anymore. I do that just via text and we don't link out to anything. This was one of the very first sites where I started testing with this, just to be clear. So now, like I'll show you a more kind of current build. Here's a build that was just done. I haven't even actually submitted this yet. The Search Console. Here's a new one that one of my VA that's in training to deploy these sites. She just deployed this site for me, but we'll go in here and take a look at this one. So here's an example of how we're referencing the neighborhoods now. We're not adding links out to that. We're not trying to grab neighborhood photos or images from neighborhoods or none of that. That was extremely tedious. And in a lot of neighborhoods, you couldn't find photos. So it was a real pain in the ass. I found that we were able to achieve similar results by just listing the neighborhoods. But this type of stuff here, it's still important. So for example, if we click to open that Google Business profile for Downtown Mall in Charlottesville, Virginia, you can see where it's in relation to the center of that city. And you can see that that's the image. Google knows that that image is associated with Downtown Mall, this location or point of interest that is in Charlottesville, right? And so this is a point of interest that adds geographic relevance to this page, but that's why we put it at the bottom. Now, I've not tested specifically recently with omitting that and see if it still has the same kind of SEO benefit. It's worth testing. I just haven't had the bandwidth or the time to be able to set up tests for that as well. So I'm still, for now, continuing to include it. But the point is, these are specific mentions. And remember, Google can read these images and it knows that these images are associated or images that are part of the GBP for each one of these location entities, so to speak, or Google business profiles, points of interest, whatever you want to call them. And so that's the reason why I do that, is to add some relevance to that without having to do those stupid pages that are, orphaned type posts or pages that are referencing points of interest that have no tie back to the products or services that the company provides. That's clear. This doesn't have any tie back, but it's just kind of like a mention on the page. And the page here is optimized to tell a visitor, hey, we provide these services in Charlottesville. In these neighborhoods. Oh, and by the way, here's some cool stuff to do here. So it's just about adding some additional relevance to the page. That's all. Okay. It's a good question.